All right, welcome everybody. We are going to go over lesson 104 today. 104 is changing improper fractions to whole or mixed numbers. Okay, we've talked about improper fractions before, we've talked about mixed numbers before, but it's been a while. So let's just review what those are. If you have notes or something to write this down, we're going to talk about what these three different types of numbers or fractions are. So whole numbers, this is the easiest one. It's just a number. 5, 17, 181. Any number that doesn't have a fraction or a decimal. It is a whole number. You can say, I have 5 tacos. That means you have 5 whole tacos. I have 181 balloons. That means you have 181, right? You can't say I have 6.5 of something. That wouldn't be a whole number. That would be a fraction, or well, that would technically be a mixed number. Okay, so whole numbers, hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to talk about mixed numbers, which is what I just said. If you have 6.5 of something, 6.5, 6 and 1/2, that is a mixed number. Mixed number means that you have a whole number plus a fraction. So if you have your notes, I would write that down. Sorry, it's pretty small. A mixed number just means you have a whole number, like 6 is a whole number, plus a fraction. 1/2 is a fraction. So 6.5. Another example would be 3 and 7/8, 2 and 1/3, anything like that. Anything that has a whole number and a fraction. A whole number and a fraction. Okay, that is what a mixed number is. All right, we don't really have any room over here, so I'm just going to erase this whole number part because you guys know what whole numbers are. And we are going to talk about improper fractions. Improper fractions, okay? An improper fraction is kind of what it sounds like. It's a fraction, but it's not proper. It's an improper fraction, which means in an improper fraction, the top number is bigger. Usually when you see regular fractions, the top number is smaller, right? But these aren't proper fractions, they are improper fractions, which just means the top number is bigger, okay? The top number is called something special. Does anybody know what it's called? It is called the numerator. Numerator. Okay, we talked about this yesterday. And the bottom number, okay, oh, wow, all right. This board is going a little crazy. Denominator. That is a hard word to spell. Okay. Numerator is the top number, denominator is the bottom number. So if the top number or the numerator is bigger, then it is an improper fraction. Okay, you must know these terms because if a question asks you for an improper fraction, you need to know what that looks like. If it asks you for a mixed number, you need to know what that looks like. So if you need to pause the video right here to write down some of these things in your notes, because you can use your notes on the homework, you can pause it right here. If not, you can continue with me. We're going to move on to some of the examples. And in some of these examples, we are going to convert improper fractions into mixed numbers and mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, so let's talk about example number 1. Write 3/5 as a mixed number. So our improper fraction, 13/5, sorry, I read that wrong. 13/5, we're writing 13/5 as a mixed number. So this is an improper fraction, but we need to write it as a mixed number. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that because we haven't done this before. The bottom number, the denominator, is 5, and we've talked about this before, part over whole, right? That's something that's really important. You still need to remember that. 5 is still the whole of pizzas or whatever you're talking about, okay? So let's say we are talking, we'll just do little rectangles here. And to have a whole rectangle, you still need 5 pieces, okay? So if I fill in 5 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's one whole, right? But I don't just have 5, I have 13. It says I have 13, so we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 out of 5, which means I have more than one whole square, rectangle, whatever we're talking about here. Okay. How many whole rectangles do we have? This is all the way filled in, so that's 1. This is all the way filled in, so that's 2 whole rectangles. I have 2 whole ones plus 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces. 3 out of how many pieces total? Out of 5. So I have 2 and 3/5. That's a mixed number, 2 and 3/5. So 13/5 is the same thing as 2 and 3/5. Okay? You can draw a picture like that to help you figure it out, or let me show you an easier way to figure it out, because you probably don't want to have to draw a picture every time you see one of these. Okay? So if you want to pause the video so you can continue drawing this picture, you can do that, but I'm going to erase it right now. All right, 13/5. We're going to do it a different way instead of drawing a picture. Okay? We can do it with division. We are going to do 13 divided by 5. 5 goes into 13 how many times? 5 goes into 13 2 times. So I put my 2 up there. 2 times 5 is 10. Then I subtract, and my remainder is 3. Okay? So let me show you. I'm going to do 3 different colors so you can see. Okay? My answer is going to be my whole number. Okay? And then my remainder is going to be my numerator. And the denominator over here is going to be the same thing over here. Okay, you're going to always keep the same denominator. So you have to do division to figure out what your whole number is, the 2's, and you're going to do division to figure out what your remainder is, which is what your numerator is, right? But then the denominator is the same. Okay, so 2 and 3/5. We will keep practicing this. We're going to go down to number 2, and we're going to practice like 5 more, about 5 more. Okay, I realize that this is a tricky concept, so we are just going to go through. We'll do example 2 and 3, and then we'll do 4 examples in the lesson practice. Okay, so we'll do 6 more problems. This one asks us to write 10/3 as a mixed number. So we are going to write 10/3 as a mixed number, which means we can draw a picture or we can divide. And I think dividing is easier, so let's do that. 10 divided by 3. 3 goes into 10 how many times? 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. Okay? So remember, this is going to equal, we're going to have a whole number and then a fraction. Our whole number is this number right here, our answer, 3. The numerator is this number that comes up here. And then this number down here comes over here. So our answer is 3 and 1/3. 3 and 1/3. All right, and let's move on to example number 3. Write 12/4 as a whole number. 12/4 as a whole number. We're not going to draw a picture for this one, but you can if you'd like. This one is this one is actually easier than figuring out how to turn it into a mixed number, because a whole number doesn't have a fraction. It's just the whole number part, right? You don't have to have that fraction. So all you have to do is do 12 divided by 4, which is 3. And guess what? That's your answer. 3 is the answer to example number 3. You just do 4 goes into 12 how many times? 3. You don't have a remainder. So if you did 3 and 0/4, that's the same thing as just saying 3, because 0 doesn't mean anything. If you don't have anything filled in, then it doesn't matter the total, right? So the answer is just 3. All right, if you have your book, we're going to go over the lesson practice together. If not, it's okay. I will write what we're doing on the board. The first one is 7/2. Okay, so this is, I guess I should write it like how your book does, 7/2. Okay, so we're going to change this into a mixed number. Again, if you have your book, we're on page 725. It's just the lesson practice. We are converting this improper fraction into a mixed number. Okay, so we are going to do 7 divided by 2, which is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. So our answer is going to be, remember, we have the 3 is here, 3. And then we have our fraction bar. Our remainder is what comes up here. And the same denominator is the same denominator for us over here. So 3 and 1/2 is our answer. I know that's kind of crazy and kind of sloppy, so let me just write it over here. 2 goes into 7 3 times with a remainder of 1. And then you keep the denominator the same. Okay, let's do the next one. 12 divided by 3, or 12/3. It's the fraction. We are just converting this into a whole number. 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4 times. So our answer is just 4. The next one we're going to do is 8/3. We're converting this into a mixed number. So for this one, we are going to do 3 goes into 8, or 8 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2, which means, I'm going to switch colors here. This 2 goes right here, 2. This 2 goes on top, and I'm going to do brown. This 3 goes down here. So 2 and 2/3. If you need to pause that so you can look at the colors and figure out where I'm getting the different numbers, you surely can. We're going to just do one more. And this one, actually, I'll keep it up. This one's easy as well because it's just a whole number. 15/3 equals what? So again, we do 15 divided by 3, which is what? It's 5. We don't have any remainders, so our answer is just 5. Our answer is just 5. Okay, on your homework today, you are going to have a lot of problems that look like this. You are going to have problems where you have to convert into a mixed number from an improper fraction. You are going to have problems that will help you prepare for the test on Friday as well, which is what we are going to go over right now. We're going to go over 3 different things. First thing, we're going to talk about pounds and ounces. Second thing, we're going to talk about 90-degree angles. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is rounding to the nearest thousand. Okay, so if you know how to do all of these things, you are free to go. I'm just helping you prepare for your test. I promise you're probably going to want to stick around for like 1 more minute because the next thing I'm going to say is super, super important. And most of you probably forgot this. Talking about pounds to ounces. This is one thing that I would write down. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. You are going to need to know this for your homework today. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So if a question, let's say a question, said 4 pounds equals how many ounces, how would you solve this? If 1 pound is 16, so how many ounces is 4 pounds? You could do 16 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16, or you could just do 16 times 4, which is 4, carry the 2, 1, or 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So the answer would be 64 ounces. Okay. Super, super important that you know this for the homework and for the test on Friday. 1 pound, 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Write that down. Memorize that. Tonight, when you're eating dinner, or tomorrow, if you've already eaten dinner today, tell your parents, hey, guess what? 1 pound equals 16 ounces. They'll be so impressed. All right. Next thing that we need to talk about, 90-degree angles and 45-degree angles. Let's review that real quick. I think most of you probably know this. How many degrees is this angle? This is a 90-degree angle. 90 degrees, you need to know that. Okay. What about an angle that looks like that? That is 45 degrees because it looks about half of the 90-degree angle, and half of 90 is 45 degrees. Okay, so you might, maybe on the test, maybe on homework, maybe you'll see something that looks like this, and it'll say, it won't have the numbers here, obviously. It'll say, how many degrees is this? And you would say 90 degrees. You might see something that says, how many degrees is the blue one? And you'll look at it and say, oh, it's about 45 degrees. Okay. So those are very important concepts that you need to remember as well. The last thing we're going to talk about today, I know this video is long. I'm just trying to help you with your homework because your homework is going to have problems like this on it, is rounding to the nearest 1,000. Okay, we're going to round both of these numbers to the nearest 1,000. Rounding them to the nearest 1,000, where is our thousands place? We'll start with this number over here, 3,678. 3,000 is in the thousands place. So either we're going to stay at 3,000 or we're going to go up to 4,000. The way that we figure out if we're going up or we're staying the same is by looking at this 6. Okay, the number next to the thousands place. Is 6 bigger than 5 or smaller than 5? It's bigger than 5, so it's going to make it go up. So our new answer is going to be 4,000. Sorry, that is very bright. I'm going to switch colors. Our answer is 4,000. You can also look at it like this. 678. Is that bigger than 500 or smaller than 500? If it's bigger than 500, then you go up. And it is bigger than 500, so we are going to go up. And when I say we go up, I mean the 3 is going to go up 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, now we're going to look over here at 2,145. This is our thousands place. So to figure out if we go up or we stay the same, we are going to look at our 1. Is 1 bigger than 5 or smaller than 5? It is smaller than 5, so that means we're going to get smaller. We're going to go down. So instead of going down to 1,000, we go down to 2,000. Okay, think about it. 2,000 is smaller than 2,145, right? So when I say we go down, that doesn't mean that the 2 goes down to a 1. It means that 2,145 is going down. It's getting smaller. So the answer is 2,000. Okay? On your homework and on your test, one thing to remember is if you are rounding to the nearest 1,000, then you should have a number in the thousands place, but everything after that should be a 0. So if you see something like, if you see something like this, you know that that's not the right answer, because if we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, that's the thousands place. Everything else should be a 0. Okay, everything else should be a 0 if you're rounding to the nearest 1,000. Anything after the thousands place should be a 0. Okay, thanks for sticking with me. I know this was a long video, but this, I promise, will help you with your homework. You only have 10 questions to do for homework. You will see things with pounds and ounces. You'll see things with rounding. You'll see improper fractions, mixed numbers, all of those fun things that we have talked about. Remember, you can do your homework as many times as you want. So if you do it the first time and you miss a couple questions, just try it again, and then you can get those questions right. Okay, the homework is to prepare you for the test. So don't just guess, make sure you actually know how to do it, because the test on Friday will be coming soon and you will not be able to use your notes. Okay, so do your very, very best. Good luck, and I will talk to you guys later.